For male age group 14 and under, first place, Donovan Lewis. Second place, Grace Pekirovich. No female for that group. Male age group 15 to 19, first place, Logan Rydell. Male second place, Sheldon Rydell. Female age group 15 to 19, first place, Valerie Hurt. Second place female, 15 to 19, Epiphany Hall. Male age group 20 to 29, first place, Brandon Rydell. And female age 20 to 29, first place, Amanda Durbin. Second place, Carmen Jensen. And third place, Veronica Hurt. Male age group 30 to 39, first place, Christopher Clemens. Female age group 30 to 39, first place, Jennifer Whitfield. Second place, Jeanette Brown. And third place, 30 to 39, Nikki Clements. Female age group 40 to 49, first place, Wendy Edelman. Second place, Amy Ift. And third place, Shelley Keller. Female age group 50 to 59, Julie Yeager. Male 16 up, first place, Daniel Kincaid. And female ages 16 up, first place, June Yoder. But I just want to say thank you all so much for coming. Means a lot to me, my family. We miss our brother, my mom's son, a lot. We put this on because he passed from a heroin overdose 6 years ago, and we want to try to educate as many people as we can and bring awareness to our community. So this is why we do this event every year, and thank you so much for supporting us. So today we have speaking for us Brad Haab, who is a friend of my brother. So give him a big round of applause. And thank him for coming today to speak.
Can everybody hear me fine? My wife made me write down some note cards because she says I like to get rambling. So if I reference these every once in a while, I'm just trying to get back on the right page. I guess I want to thank Brandy and their family for having me speak. Me and DZ were really close friends, best friends at one time. He worked with me out at my dad's pallet shop. We grew up together, we're the same age, same class, all that. We've been through the good, the bad, and the ugly together. So if anybody knows DZ's story, I probably know it the best. I guess I can start out and telling you that July 14th, 2010 is my heroin-free day. So I haven't... So I guess that's coming up on 8 years here in another month or so. As everybody probably knows, I'm Brad Haab. 38 years old, lived in Forest my whole life. I live in Fairbury now. Moved away one time to go to rehab in Alabama and stayed there for 4 years. Besides that, I've been around this area my whole life. Come from a really good family, have done nothing but support me throughout all these years. Unconditional love is what my family gave me, and I know you guys did the same. It's hard to have that when the conditions aren't conditional. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that's got me standing up here sober today is unconditional love from friends and family and what community support I have got. You know, it wasn't always positive. In the past few years, it's got a lot more positive. I think people have seen that I've kind of graduated to the other side almost, so to speak. I don't want to say that I'm not going to stand up here and say that I've made it by any sense, because I know that I'm only one stupid decision away of ending up in the grave like DZ and Chad Hammond and some of my other friends, you know. I've seen a lot of people buried over the years for heroin overdose, not only here, but when I was in Alabama, the rehab facility I went to used to carry us to funerals from either people that were in the rehab that left and died or what. They used to carry us to funerals to see what the families were going through. So I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of people buried, some I knew, some I didn't, some that were best friends, some that I didn't have a clue who they were. But the story's always the same. You know, the story from the addict side's always the same, and the story from the family side's always the same, no matter who they were. I had a pretty normal childhood. Did a lot of sports when I was a kid. Was involved in school, a lot of school activities and everything. Never started really using anything until I was probably sophomore, junior year in high school. I started drinking a little bit, smoking a little pot. I always had basketball and baseball and some sports hanging over my head. So I never was really a heavy user. That all changed after I graduated high school, and we'll get to that here in a minute. When I graduated high school, I moved down to Champaign. I'm gonna get rid of these note cards. I moved down to Champaign and started living down there. That was my first taste of freedom. Started smoking a lot of pot, drinking a lot, selling pot to make a little extra money, this, that, and the other. A lot of the same old stories start out the same way. when I moved home from Champaign when I was about 20 years old, that's a lot when me and DZ's friendship really took off. And we became really close. He was working, we were working together, we spent a lot of time together. Eventually, I mean, I was selling pot around this area, and eventually a couple of the guys that I was seeing weekly offered me, every week they would offer me heroin as their payments. You know, take this, I don't have the cash. Of course, you know, knowing what I know now I know why they didn't have the cash, because they're heroin addicts. But they would want to trade me. Finally, one day I gave in. I just, okay. And it was as simple as that. And that led to every weekend, deliver my pot, get my other stuff. That's how it all started. And that's how it starts with a lot of people. You hear a lot of stuff like, don't try it once because you'll be hooked from the beginning. All them drug cliches. And for me, that wasn't the case. You know, I tried to stay level-headed enough to, you know, I tried to look at it like it was any other drug. You know, I could smoke pot for a week and put it down for a month. You know, I could do cocaine on a weekend and not touch it for 6 months. You know, so I just looked at it as that. But heroin's a whole new demon. It changes everything about you. It changes your outward appearance. It changes your morals and your values. It changes everything about you. And that's one thing that these guys have come to realize, that the addicts are not the same people. You're just not the same person when you start actively using. You just become a nightmare. You know, you become a nightmare to yourself. You become a nightmare to your family. It's just a whirlwind of trouble. And it's kind of hard to stand up here and talk about, because, you know, I am clean and sober today, and there's people in here that have lost loved ones that couldn't quite get to where I am today. And for that, I'm truly sorry. You know, it's upsetting to me, because I know, like DZ or Chad Hammond, I'm gonna reference them guys because those were my guys. But sometimes you just never know, because maybe all they needed was just that one more chance. They say a few statistics that I've heard over time is I do know that it takes an average of 7 to 10 times in rehab or getting clean and sober before a lot of recovering heroin addicts ever get it. Do they want it? Yeah, but before they get it, it takes that long sometimes. Me personally, I think I did 2 rehabs, 2 stays in jail, and then I finally got it. I think this last time when it was July 13th, 2010, I got arrested coming back from the city. Used to just go up to the city and get it right from the source. I just didn't want to mess around with anything around here, and so I went right for the source. I was to the point where I didn't care. The hood didn't scare me no more. If it was my lot in life to get taken at the time, then that's the way then that's what happened, you know. But I was on my way home, and I got off on Gardner exit, and I was coming up the Chatty Blacktop, and Officer Draper from the county, I don't even know if he still works for the county anymore. Does he, do you know? Does he? But yeah, he come by me, and of course, like most addicts, usually you get caught speeding or doing something stupid, that's why you get caught. And I was speeding, and he come back over the hill, or we came over a hill, and so I took the first turn, like any drug addict would do, got rid of my stuff out the window, and went on. He caught back up to me about 4 or 5 miles later, pulled me over, did the old search thing, everything, didn't find nothing on me at all, because I got rid of it. I had already been out on probation, or bond, I guess I should say, in Cook County. A few weeks prior, it was probably only 2 or 3 weeks prior that I got arrested in Cook County and got bonded out. Actually, I got bonded out on July 4th because when I was coming out of the county jail, the fireworks were going on over the lake. So that was only 9 days later when I got picked up by the county. But anyway, he let me go. He released me. And so I took off. I'm like, I'll just have to come back for it later or whatever. Well, I never got to go back for it because Draper went back for it. He had a sense when he got back to that stop sign a couple miles back that I got rid of something. So he got out of the car, walked around the high grass and stuff, and found my cigarette cellophane full of heroin. And I knew right away when I saw everybody coming back after me that they found it. I just knew. But anyway, I ended up going to jail. And ended up getting sentenced. Well, they ended up taking me, Bomber ended up taking me up to Mayfield to court, and they offered me a year, so I took it. I figured I'm gonna have to do some time anyway, so I took it. And I figured anything Livingston County is gonna give me is gonna way override anything Cook County is gonna give me, so I just took it. Well, needless to say, that was when I was right at the beginning of when Judge Bachnick started her drug program. So since she knew I was going off to prison anyway, she sentenced me to that 30 months probation. She told me to report back to her the first day I got out. So I did. And I am successfully the second person who's graduated from that program that hasn't used since. Becca Henshaw, which I don't even know if she's here. I know she comes every once in a while, but she's the first one, and she's still sober today too. So
8 years.
So that was. I'm glad that me and Becca were able to show Judge Bachnick and this county some success behind that program. I think it's great. I don't know. I haven't been able to get back over. I've gotten invited to a couple of graduations, but it just hasn't worked out for me to get over there yet. But that's a great program. And that's one thing I truly believe in is rehabilitation instead of incarceration. Did the incarceration help me? Yeah, helped me a ton because it put me under lock and key for 8 months, which I was able to get back out of my addict self and get back into myself. And so what I did for that 8 months is concentrated on myself. I knew what it was going to be like when I got out. I knew that the same old people were going to be around. I had already been to rehab in Alabama. Which was a Christian rehab. I had already been in rehab in Kentucky, which was a secular rehab. You know, now I've been locked up. I've tried them all. I've tried all the types of recovery, and I knew I had to do something right. And what I've learned is I had to rely on the power of God. A lot of people use their higher power, whatever you want to call it, and that's great. But I believe that the only true sobriety and joy in the sobriety is through the power of Jesus Christ. And that's and I think there's another statistic out there that says that only 3% of people that get sober and relapse will ever stay sober and then get clean again will ever stay sober for the rest of their life. And there's only 1% that will get clean the first time and never use again the rest of their life. It's a pretty powerful statistic, you know, kind of saddening, but I truly believe that those 1% and 3% of people are the people that everything over to God, put it in his hands, and lean on him, for the understanding and the support. The church has been a great support to me. Pastor Steve out at the Baptist Church, which is no longer out here, he's in Indiana now, but he was a huge support system. A lot of churches get looked down upon about judging and this, that, and the other, but and some might be like that. But I know that our church out at First Baptist will accept you with open arms, and they want to help. They want to help in the healing process, and they've really been a blessing to me. The one thing I did learn about going to the rehabs in a lot of other states, that they always say people, places, and things. Well, I've learned that you can't change people, and you can't change places. You can change the things you're doing, but I realized leaving the state to go to rehab, trying the geographical escape, doesn't work, because I found out I still took Brad Haab with Brad Haab when I went, no matter where I went. So I still took the stupid choices, the drug addict. I still took all that with me, and that's one thing that I think that everybody needs to know too, is especially now with the opioid epidemic that's going on now. It's way worse now than it ever was when I was using. And the thing is, you can't run from it. You have to be able to deal with it right where you're at in your community. I know Chief Travis is having a heck of a time probably with it right now. And these guys get put in a tough spot because it's like, lock them up or rehab, or, they're in a really tough spot, and they get looked down upon about being the jerks out of the whole situation, when ultimately they're just trying to help. I think that the police dog is going to be, I just talked to him about it a little bit, but I think that that's going to be a huge asset to our community. Will it chase it off? No, it won't never chase it all off. But will it have some people thinking a little bit more? Yeah. Will it probably lock some more people up in the process? Yeah. And then maybe Judge Bachnick can get a hold of them and help them out. It's a tough situation, and there's going to be more and more people that die every day, every week, every year, especially with the way all this crap with the fentanyl, and that's something I never heard about back then. If you overdosed back when I was using it, it was because you got a hold of some good stuff. It wasn't because you got a hold of some bad stuff. That's the way I looked at it. And now it's just, the stuff's just awful. And it scares me. I stand up here today and it scares me. 7 years ago, I would have thought, yeah, that's the stuff I want. And it's just not good. And I commend you guys for doing what you're doing and getting in the community for getting in the community for putting up the money and all the work to get the drug dog and all that. And I think that's great. I think it's going to be a huge asset to the community. I guess also, I think that, like I said, I said it before, but staying plugged into church is probably the best thing that anybody can do. If you don't have a church family, or you're looking for a church family, or you're struggling in your life, get a hold of me, or come out to the First Baptist Church, or look around. There's resources out there. I know Brandy's got a whole list of resources that she uses, and I know that she's been associated with Tim Ryan. If somebody in your family needs rehab, get a hold of Brandy. She'll get you in touch with who you need to get in touch with. I think that it's just tough. It's tough for me to stand up here, and I wasn't sure if I even wanted to speak yet. I've spoken at a few different places, but I thought that it was the least I could do for DZ's family, and I'm honored that you guys asked me to do it. I felt like the last few years I've kind of been ready to speak a little bit more. I know a lot of people don't want to speak because they always hold on to the reservation that they might not be clean and sober the rest of their life. I've had to, and in a lot of cases it's true. And so don't ever take to heart that nobody wants to speak at your events because they just don't want to. They want to, they're scared. You know, and I talked to Brandy a little bit about that, about somebody earlier. But the way I look at it is, I know that they say you're not supposed to say that you're like fully recovered ever, but I have to look at myself like I'm a fully recovered addict. Because if I'm not, if I'm an addict and I'm always an addict and I'm always going to be an addict, well, if I tell myself that, well, then what the heck am I going to be? I'm going to be an addict, you know? So I do consider myself recovered. Do I consider myself safe? I mean, no. I still have to make my own decisions and walk the right path. But I do look at myself recovered, and I say that because of my faith in God, and I know that there's healing power in Jesus, and I know that He has helped restore me to everything that I am today, you know. And I think, and I say it time and time again, but I think just being plugged into a church is probably the best thing that you can do. And I know people like the IHR folks back here and stuff, that's kind of, you know, they can hear that, but I know it's probably kind of hard because I'm sure being on a state level, they can't really like preach that in their classes and stuff. But I know that they can help direct people to the right people or to the right resources to get their help. I miss DZ every day. You know, I think about him a lot. I stand across, well, now that we've had our fire, I used to stand, it's a different building now, but I used to stand across some of the same tables or drive around on the same forklifts as he did, and it makes me think about him. It just brings back a lot of memories. You know, I could probably stand up here and tell stories and stories and stories till the sun went down tonight about things I've done, things I've been through. But everybody knows that story. And, you know, the lying, the cheating, you know, the abuse on the parents and the family. A lot of the time, us as the addicts, we're in the best shape because we're high and we don't care, you know. And it's our families, they got to deal with everything. And they have to try to put all the pieces back together, and they got to try to make everything right, and they don't know how to do it. And even like DZ's family, they still probably, I know they've learned a lot, but they still probably don't understand the full extent of everything. Some of the people at IHR, you know, they've never lived some of that stuff. It's hard for them to wrap their head all the way around everything because it's hard because they've never walked in those shoes. And I know that it's hard in their spot because people use that to their advantage and say, well, you can't tell me what to do because you've never lived it, you know. But they've been around it enough and they have the knowledge, you know, not only the book knowledge from school, but from talking to people like me who are very informative to them. And I think they do a great job over there too. Did I like going over there and doing all my meetings? No. But it was for the right reason, you know. So I guess in closing, all I really want to say is if anybody needs anybody to talk to, I'm available. I'm always available, whether it's the addict, whether it's a mother, whether it's a father, brother, sister, niece or nephew, you know. DZ had a lot of nephews that really looked up to him. If anybody ever needs anybody to talk to, I'm always available. I work for my old man, so even if I have to leave work for an hour or something to go talk to somebody, I'll do it. That's way more important to me than anything else. if anybody don't know how to get into a church family or is nervous about it and wants somebody to talk to, I'm always available. Or you can go walk in out at First Baptist and Pastor Darrell will talk to you guys or whoever. I think that the biggest thing is a support system. Now, I've been talking a lot about my church, but family. You know, I got family here that I never even invited today. You know, they just showed up. They knew I was talking, so they just showed up. I didn't ask for that, you know. Here I am, almost 8 years clean, and they're still showing up for me. You know, my wife was my girlfriend at the time, is a huge support system to me. I treated her like dog crap, you know, stole from her, just talked down to her, lied to her. She never gave up on me. And when I got out, you know, we started living the life that we should have been living. And today is actually our anniversary, 6 years today. So yeah, I think that support systems are huge. Church is huge. And I think unconditional love. I think that I think it's easy for family to beat up on the addicts, but I think unconditional love and support through whatever they're going through is probably the most positive thing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get angry with them or mad at them or tell them how you feel, but it needs to happen in a loving way. That they know that they know you're pissed at them, but they know that you still support them. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just want to thank Brandy for putting this together. I think it's great. I think it's I think it almost gives DZ some more, even though he's not here, it gives him some purpose. Gives the family some purpose, probably a little bit of more closure. And I really appreciate it. It's good to see that it grows every year. It's good to see that we got some good weather today, finally. I know the last couple of years have been a little bit shady, but yeah, I just want to thank everybody for listening to me and opening up their arms and their hearts to hearing me today. With that, I'll close, but I do want to open it up. If anybody has any questions, I would love to answer them. If nobody has any questions and wants to pull me off to the side later, they're more than welcome to. But real quick, I want to open it up, and if anybody has anything to ask me about anything, let's hear it. I did not. There was a couple of times where I used and woke up about 16 hours later. I guess you could probably technically say it was an overdose, but I never died from it. There was. Okay. Did I ever overdose? No, I didn't. That's the answer. Was I close? Yeah, a few times. There was one time where I used a bunch in the evening, and I was actually laying in the bed and was basically convulsing, I would say. I was shaking and couldn't control it, and I think it was my body's way of trying to fight off the substance that I had in me. And I was real close to calling the ambulance myself that night because I think that's what was going on. But somehow I pulled it back together. Or my body pulled it back together, I guess I should say. So no, have I witnessed it? Yes. I've witnessed DZ. I witnessed Nathan Mashburn. Had to give him CPR. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying that. But yeah, he did one time. I had to throw him on the floor and give him CPR and was able to bring him back, and he never ended up going to the hospital or nothing. But yeah, it's a scary sight. It's a scary sight to know that there's, to watch somebody end up to use and literally seconds later end up on the floor. It's a sad sight. And I'm glad that I never crossed that bridge. Yes?
What are the signs of someone that doesn't
What are the signs that somebody's using? Well, with heroin, now you're putting me on the spot. Weight loss. Weight loss is a huge thing. I went into jail at 170 pounds. Today I'm at about 220. When I came out of jail, I was at 260. So in 8 months, I put on 90 pounds when I got clean and sober. And everything that I try to lose now is for the right reasons. I just can't do it. But that's a whole different.
The family knows the look. We always said,
Yeah. Yep.
Sleeping.
Yep. And that's one thing, but there's a lot of different stuff that comes with the tired and the sleepy. There's a tired and a sleepy, but then there's a nodding out. You know what I'm saying? When somebody just slept 12 hours and they've only worked 4 hours during the day and they're nodding out, they're not tired, I'm sorry. But, not wanting to come around family is a big thing. If you're a very family-oriented family, and all of a sudden they just don't want to come around and they're just real secluded and stuff, and they never were. I know some people are like that, so you can't really say that's a sign for them, but just a total change in behavior. Your attitude's going to change, you know. I try not to swear much these days. If I start swearing like a sailor and my attitude got awful again, I start snapping at everybody, that's a huge sign. Disappearing for hours at a time and then not having an explanation on where they're at. Paycheck's a big thing. You know, I work for a family-owned business and I make decent money. I go through it like the person that made the least in the company. You know, it's if they don't have their paycheck with them on Sunday, if they still don't have money left on Sunday and they got paid on Friday, there's an issue. There's an issue going on. And it probably isn't because they're 3 months behind in their mortgage payment either. But yeah, I have things today. I have things today that I would never have, you know. Not only my wife, but I was able to buy a ring to put on her finger. We live in a beautiful house now. We have a decent car. Those are all things that, and I'm not standing up here like gloating by any means, but if I was a heroin addict, all that stuff would be the first stuff gone, you know. I lost plenty of cars, you know. The county's made plenty of money off a couple of my vehicles, you know. That's just something that you really you won't have if you're an addict. You won't have money, and there won't be no explanation on where it went either. Go ahead.
Hey, how do you deal with stress today? What are your coping skills and how important is that to you?
How do I deal with stress and how do I cope with the stress? So a lot of times it comes out at my kids. My wife and my kids get hollered at sometimes, and it gets out of hand sometimes just because I get frustrated. Prayer, the power of prayer. You know, it all goes back to church. Sometimes if I'm having a stressful week and I go to church on Sunday, you know, sometimes I'll come home Sunday afternoon and it's all taken care of. The power of prayer is big time. Sleep, I get regular sleep. I'm in bed within a half an hour to an hour of the same time every day, and I wake up the same time every morning. I think sleep's a big thing that handles the stress. I try not to put myself in too many stressful situations. I help my dad run his business, and I do a lot of the hiring and the firing, and it can. I'm in the process of trying to do more and more out there, so that can be extremely stressful. I deal with it. I just deal with it. I put one foot in front of the other. I just look at it as this stress that I deal with today is a far cry from what I used to deal with. It's a far cry from what anybody else deals with. I talk to my wife about it. You know, we can usually sense when it's usually pretty you can usually sense when I'm getting pretty stressed out around the house. So I try to just dial it back a little bit. My blood pressure medicine helps a little bit, which is probably all a derivative of my using. But yeah, today I have my health. I have my health today. I don't have no needle marks. I don't have any of the sores that I used to have. You know, I have health. And I try to, when I get in stressful situations or stress comes up, I either take it to God, I take it to my wife, and I dial it back. Whatever I'm doing that's making me stressed out, I dial it back. If I'm working too much, I try to dial it back. If my mom and dad are irritating me because I have to work with them every single day, I try to dial back the time I spend around them. You know, that's just the way. I try to see that stuff, and I try to beat it to the chase these days. After years and years of using, and then years of sobriety, that stuff comes real simple. You just gotta keep an eye out for it. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if anybody else wants to talk to me, or either here today or in the future, a week from now, 2 years from now, there's ways to get a hold of me or Brandy, and I'll feel free to talk to anybody. So, thank you again for the Zeller family for putting this on.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Great.
Yep.
All right, let's hear it for Brad.
We are very proud of you. So any adults here with teenage children, like you said, watch for their behavior. Other signs are things that become missing, believe it or not, like spoons. You might find bent spoons in the room, lighters, foil that you might think are gum wrappers, anything little like that. Just watch for their behavior, and you might pick up on some more signs there. So we have out back a support group called Kyle 360. They've been going on for a couple years now, and we've had them last year and we had them this year. They have a support group for any family members, any addicts, recovering addicts, anybody that wants to come to talk about their family's addiction or anything like that. In Pontiac, on the first and third Thursdays of each month from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Great Episcopal Church on Manlove and Torrance. So if you guys ever want support or to go anywhere to get support, please check them out. Go get their flyer. They're great. Of course, IHR out here, they have great resources as well. We have Operation Snowflake out there, who we support greatly because they educate the youth. And we have Cares Clowns here today. And Cares Clowns is also a program that gets together in the junior high to help kids against bullying and substance abuse. So they're going to do a couple skits now. We've had them in the past, but we've never had them do a skit before. But I want you guys to see what they're all about. So when your kids reach junior high, tell them about this program. Get them in this program. It is great. And then after they're done, we'll have the dance team dance a couple routines, and then we'll start the kids' fun run. Thank you guys again.
Hi everybody, I'm Angie Cradaville, and I am a teacher at Prairie Central Junior High, and I lead a group there called Cares Clowns. Cares Clowns has been a group at the junior high since Prairie Central started back in the mid-1980s, and I've been the leader or coach or sponsor of this group for the past 20 years. CARES stands for Children Are Really Extra Special. And there are several people older than junior high in this room right now who were former CARES Clowns back when they were in junior high. Our group ranges from about 20 to 25 kids every year, 7th and 8th graders. We do activities during Red Ribbon Week in the end of October, the Drug Awareness Week. We also, our main activity is to perform skits and songs about making positive choices for the elementary schools in the district. And from pre-K through 6th grade, that amounts to 5 performances, one day in March. Our show is about a half an hour long. So every year for the past 20 years, we've performed for about 1,000 kids every year. And those positive choices we talk about do talk about drugs and alcohol, but they also talk about things like anti-bullying, being good students, being good friends, making smart choices with social media. It's an excellent group to perform in, to be a part of. I know that the messages we share do stay with the kids, and even though some of my clowns leave the junior high and struggle with some of those choices come high school or their adult life, they can still remember what we do and the messages we share. So I've got 3 skits that we're going to perform for you today. I have 3 of my clowns and a couple of retired clowns. This is Natalie Ward, Mackenzie Rubinas, Laurel Aberly. They're current CARES clowns, and because my daughters pretty much do whatever I ask them to do, Ainsley and Ashlyn Cradaville, my freshman twin daughters who were in CARES clowns the past 2 years, helped us fill in a little bit with one of our skits today too. We will pass the microphone around so that you can hear us real well. Usually we don't use a microphone when we perform in the gym for our students. We talk real loud and try to make sure our kids hear us. But with an open air like this, we want to use the microphone and make sure everybody hears us. Something else, when we perform for the little kids, they clap for us between skits. So when we finish a skit, we hope you'll clap for us too, okay? Okay. Social media, websites and applications that allow users to social network or to be creative. We all know this in 2018. Social media is everywhere, and it's always trying to get our attention.
Like me, I am Facebook. You kids may not have your own Facebook page, but a lot of your parents do. You can share awesome pictures of all the cool things that you do.
And me, I'm Snapchat. You guys can talk to your friends and share cool pictures. The best thing about me, I disappear in 10 seconds.
Or me, I'm Instagram. You can spend stories and pictures with your friends and the cooler version of Facebook.
Hey, look! Here's 2 unsuspecting kids now. Maybe they want to try you out.
Hey kids, I'm Facebook. Do you have me on your phone? I bet you could get more friends than anyone in the history of the world.
They don't want you, Facebook. Hi, I'm Snapchat. You guys can talk to your friends and get as many friends as you want. The best thing about me, I disappear.
They don't want you, Snapchat. I'm Instagram. You can send stories, pictures, and events with your friends, and you can show them what you ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and who your new boyfriend is.
Wow, those all sound great. I've heard my friends talk about them before, but all I have on my phone right now are a couple of games, and I'd love to have more friends.
You don't need those patches. We're going to the playground. It's a gorgeous day outside. Too gorgeous to sit around on your phone.
But we're going to have to take a break from swinging eventually.
Then we can go to the basketball court. Too many kids spend their whole day on their phones and they never go outside. Plus, it's really easy to get in trouble with those apps.
It is? How?
Lots of kids use those apps to bully other kids in their school. Instead of taking pictures of fun things they do, they take pictures of a kid and Snapchat it, along with mean words about how ugly she is or how dumb she looks.
Yeah, but I disappear in 10 seconds.
Not if the kid who sees it screenshots it and shows it to their parents. And their parents tell the principal. You can get in trouble at school for things you post on social media, even if you're not at school when you do it. Really, it's just not worth it.
I think if we use the apps correctly, they can be a lot of fun. but right now I want to go swing. You guys go bother someone else with your social media. I'm going to the playground.
These kids made a great choice. We all know that social media is out there and it will always have a place in our lives. For some of us, making smart choices with social media means not even downloading the app or using that social media. For others, it just means being very careful with how we use it. We have to know that pictures and the words that we send live out in cyberspace forever, all the time, and that we always have to make smart choices with our social media.
Hi, my name is Carmel.
Hi, my name is Jellybean, and Carmel is my best friend.
Yeah, on Mondays, I like to go to the movies.
Me too.
On Tuesdays, I like to go skating.
Me too.
On Wednesdays, I like to go to the mall.
Me too.
On Thursdays, I like to go dancing.
Me too.
On Fridays, I like to go to parties and get wasted.
Not me. Just because she wants to do that doesn't mean I do. In fact, most kids my age do not drink, do not smoke, and do not get wasted at parties. My choice is alcohol-free, and that should be your choice too.
We try to use as real a props as we can when we perform, so real props, just empty, but that way it looks a little bit more authentic for our audience.
Alcohol does not make you a good dancer. Alcohol does not make you strong. Alcohol does not make you pretty. Alcohol doesn't make you romantic. Just face it, guys. Alcohol doesn't do anything but get you drunk.
I hope that gives you a little bit of idea of what the Cares Clowns do. It's really a great group, and for our younger kids in Prairie Central, I encourage them, when we talk at the UE, the upper elementary, I encourage them that when they come to the junior high the next year, that they consider joining Cares Clowns. Really great group, a lot of great messages. We really have a good time, and we hope the messages that we share stick with the kids. And thank you very much, Brandy, and Operation Overdose Awareness for the support that you give to the Cares Clowns as well. Thanks, everybody.
All right, now we're going to have the dance team perform a couple routines. And can I get a couple guys to move the balloons here? Thank you.
inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. All through my city, all through my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. Feel that hot blood in my body, it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off it. Moving so phenomenally, on like the way we rock it. So don't stop. Under the lights, when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine, I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. Go. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. There ain't nobody leaving, so keep dancing. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need control. I fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. 'Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body, it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off it. It's so phenomenally, on like the way we rock it. So don't stop. Under the lights, when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine, I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. Go. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. There ain't nobody leaving, so keep dancing. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. So keep dancing. I can't stop the, I can't stop the, I can't stop the, I can't stop the, I can't stop the. I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel like you're creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. There ain't nobody leaving, so keep dancing. Down, this feeling in my body, this I feel it. This feeling in my You'll be that girl, you'll be everything you want.
Before we do the Kids Fun Run, I'd like to take a moment to thank my quote-unquote committee and my volunteers. Without you guys, of course, this wouldn't have happened, and all your hard work helping today. Thank you so much. Thank Travis, who has also helped, and great donation to the event. Mike for getting our entertainment, and all of our educational booths outside. And I need to thank my husband for putting up with my anxiety and my grumpiness this last few days. So thank you so much. I love you. Sorry. But we have a little time. We have a little time yet before the Kids Fun Run. So just please visit, and then we'll do the raffle baskets and 50-50 and the door prize after that. Thank you.